speaking of dysfunction, Chris, in Cleveland, everything is turning around, but I don't know how much of this you saw. Remember last year, Colin Cowherd and Baker Mayfield kind of went out a little bit, and there was that goofy take about him not celebrating with his teammates after a touchdown. And I thought Mayfield was great. He took it head on. He's got a way of conducting himself and a way of communicating that is well beyond his years. He gets it. He's mature. He's poised.
Sure.
And what he says makes sense. And I mean, has that been your impression of him? Because that sure has been mine from the get-go, that this guy just knows what to say and when to say it.
Yeah, no, exactly right. I've been a big fan of his really from 2 years ago when he was at Oklahoma. I mean, first of all, some of the celebration stuff. Oh, the Ohio State flag, the planting of the Oklahoma flag in the middle of the Ohio State football field. Again, hey, we're talking about young kids here, young gentlemen, okay, who are still learning their ways in the world, can be a little emotional at times, but nothing malice there. I mean, Baker Mayfield, yes, has added juice to an organization with moxie and charisma to which I've never seen before, honestly. It ranks up there with one of the better transformations of a culture of a team through a young quarterback that I've ever seen. Mahomes is special, but Mahomes did it with on the field. I feel like Baker Mayfield did it with not only on the field, but the guy he is in the locker room. And we've heard it from not only just the players, but coaches who wanted to coach there this year because of Baker Mayfield. And we heard it coming out in the drafts, which tells me it's very real. The person, the leader, the charismatic values that he carries must just kind of bounce off. And I've met him before, and I could see it. He's got a great way about him.
What we're looking for in quarterbacks is natural leadership. You either have it or you don't, and Mayfield has it. And that planting of the flag in the field, it gets your players excited, and they're more likely to follow you, and they're more likely to listen to you, and they're more likely to do what needs to be done to win your approval in those key moments, right?
Yes.
When the game is on the line and you know your quarterback who you follow, who is your leader, is going to be disappointed in you, you're more likely to get your job done. That's the way it works. And that's all a preface to what happened last week when Colin Cowherd decided to poke the Browns bear again and argue that it potentially is going to be a mess in Cleveland, in part because Odell Beckham's not happy in Cleveland. He's not happy. Look at him. Does he look happy? This thing has a chance to be an absolute mess. Freddie Kitchens, with these egos and these stars, I can tell you I have this as well sourced as I can have it on Odell Beckham. He didn't want to go to Cleveland. He wanted to go to L.A. Now he'll make it work, but it wasn't his choice. So, Baker Mayfield responded via Twitter to Colin Cowherd. Come to Cleveland and ask Odell if he actually likes it. Just because you say you have a source doesn't mean you're not full of BS. And while you're at it, come see if I'm a baby. So yes.
Yeah, he's not
Baker
afraid
Mayfield.
of anybody.
If I was Colin Cowherd, I probably would not go to Cleveland right now. But look, that's the way. Because I think there is a chance this could all fall apart. And there is a chance that if they get off to a rough start, Freddie Kitchens may be in over his head. That's where Baker Mayfield's leadership abilities come into play. And he's already doing what he has to do, Chris, to hold everything together.
Yeah, that's right. He's publicly defending his player already to where he doesn't have to answer some of these questions. I'll answer for you, Odell Beckham Jr., and get this started that way. Again, Colin Cowherd, I got a lot of respect for him. I certainly do. I'm a fan of his. Now, again, I don't think he's throwing out there anything we all didn't know. I mean, there was always rumors that Odell Beckham Jr. wanted to play in L.A. I think that's very real. And yes, I think if Odell Beckham Jr. was given his way, yes, he would have gone to an L.A. team, maybe the Rams, certainly. But that wasn't the case. He went to Cleveland. I think he was in shock at first. I think that's more what Colin Cowherd is talking about. I mean, Odell Beckham Jr. has been the man for a long time. He was getting recruited as one of the top receivers. And in high school football, LSU thought he was the man. Then he's at LSU. He is the man. And, of course, the NFL is telling him, hey, we think you're the man, too. You're going to be a first-round pick. He goes to New York. All he's been told about is you're a star. You're the man. You're maybe one of the greatest receivers we've ever seen. So he was put in another stratosphere. He's never not been wanted. This was the first time in his life where a team said, we don't we don't like you that much, or we want to just move along with you. So I'm sure that took an adjustment period for Odell Beckham Jr. Plus, even if you don't love a place, it's never easy just to pack up and leave. You do have, connections and friendships and things like that play a part of it, to where, yes, if you're a young man who's 26 years old like Odell Beckham Jr., a lot of these emotions and things go through your head. But I think he is going to be very happy, and he is happy to be in Cleveland, because he knows he's got a chance now to be put in a position where he can show everybody what he's really all about on the field, the best receiver in football. And I think he knows he's got a quarterback and weapons around him that can take some pressure off of him.
And part of what he had to get his brain around, Chris, I believe, is the idea that at a time when Antonio Brown got to engineer his next destination,
right,
Odell Beckham just got passed off to whatever team the Giants could get the best return from, without regard to Odell Beckham Jr. wanting to go there or not wanting to go there. And, one of the wrinkles that continues to be developed is this idea that the 49ers were a very, very real suitor for Odell Beckham Jr. That was something I heard right at the end of the regular season. The 49ers are going to make another play for him, and they did. The Giants wanted the second overall pick in the draft. There was a report from ESPN over the weekend that the 49ers were trying to get the number 6 pick back in exchange for the 2 and more stuff on top of it. And while all that was happening, the Browns decided we better make a move. And the Browns made their move, and they got their deal done. So it was that 49ers interest that in a roundabout way opened the door for the Browns. So I guess if Odell Beckham Jr. ends up not liking Cleveland, he can blame the 49ers, because it was that effort to get him to San Francisco that created the opening for John Dorsey to get him to Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly seemed that, and the talks of the Kevin Zeitler, Olivier Vernon trade and all of that at least jump-started some conversation between Gettleman and John Dorsey. Here's my question to you, though. To me, okay, if San Francisco wants Odell Beckham Jr., which was rumored to be for the last 2 years, really, okay, why did the New York Football Giants, once they got a trade offer from the Cleveland Browns, not call the San Francisco 49ers or other teams that they viewed as interested and not say, hey, we're being offered this. Do you want to come up with your trade offer? To me, that was the thing that went in my brain and went, I don't even understand that. Why would you not call another team who you know has been very interested to see if maybe they won't give you more now that there's a better trade on the table? That didn't make sense to me.
I have an answer for you.
Okay.
And I'm going to answer your question with a question.
Yeah.
Back when your dad was playing for the Giants, who was the team that the Giants hated more than any other?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. The San Francisco 49ers. I mean, yes, at topical value, that seems like it could be correct. An NFC team that they could be their rival, and they just didn't want to deal with it. I can buy that if that's the truth.
Yeah, I mean, there's a chance that you play the 49ers every single year. As long as you finish in the same spot in your division as they finish in theirs, you're playing them every year. And every third year, you're guaranteed to play them. And every single season, you're competing with them either for wild card berths or for playoff positioning if both are in position to win their divisions. So for the same reason that the Steelers would have preferred to get Antonio Brown out of the conference, they weren't able to do it. They at least got him out of the division and kept him away from the Patriots. The Giants would have loved and did love, I think, getting Odell Beckham Jr. out of the conference altogether.
Yeah.
They'll only see him once every 4 years, and maybe if they both get to the Super Bowl, they'll have to deal with him. That would be a good problem for the Giants to have, because that would mean they are in the Super Bowl. So I think that's why ultimately at the end of the day they didn't go back to the 49ers and say, hey, we have this and this from the Browns. It was a first-round pick, a third-round pick, and Jabril Peppers. Do better, and we'll send him to you. So now, and here's the thing. Because Odell Beckham Jr. handled his business differently than Antonio Brown, he didn't even know what was going on.
Right.
See, because if he had known what was going on, who knows what he would have done? I don't want to incur Baker Mayfield's wrath here, but you could make the argument that if Beckham knew that there was a chance to be traded to the 49ers versus the Browns, he very well may have said, you know what? Yeah, I'd like to play with Jarvis Landry and Baker Mayfield, but I'd rather play in San Francisco. And he never had that opportunity.
No, well, but he did. I mean, he did have the opportunity, because he could have made life very hard on both teams here if he didn't want this to go down. So that, to me, would be the context clue for Colin Cowherd or anybody out there to go, no. If the guy really didn't want to go to Cleveland, he would have gone, okay, nope, at add $30 million more to my contract or whatever it may be, made some absurd contract demand to where the trade would have fell through. I'm only going to go to Cleveland unless I get another $25 million guaranteed. Whatever that may be, whatever that number, I'm just throwing it out there for argument's sake right now. To me, he still had that power. So he decided, you know what? Okay, this isn't easy. I'm going to have to leave New York and leave a bunch of teammates and friends that I like in the locker room. But I think he saw at the end of the day, you know what? I'm going to just take this trade because, damn it, I've seen this Baker Mayfield and I know Jarvis Landry and this Cleveland team's got some special players. I'm going to go be a part of this and be happy. And maybe he will ask for more money, but he's going to do it the right way here and be part of the team and not make a big deal about it and not be like Antonio Brown, which, again, I don't like when Odell Beckham Jr. and Antonio Brown get lumped together because I think they are two different people. And Odell Beckham Jr.'s, let's say, list of issues he's had with his team is far less than the issues Antonio Brown's had with his team.
But, Chris, here's my point, and you've proven it in a roundabout way.
Okay.
Odell Beckham Jr. did not get an opportunity to pick between the two because they didn't give him a chance. He didn't know what was happening. And by the time the deal was done, he was backed into a corner where his only alternative to happily going to Cleveland was being Antonio Brown. See, they were, by not including him in any of this process and telling his agent, oh, we're talking to the 49ers, we're talking to the Browns, by cutting him out entirely, they put him in a position where when he first found out about it, his only recourse, other than just taking it, was to be the kind of guy that Antonio Brown has been, and that's the kind of guy that Odell Beckham Jr. aspires not to be. He doesn't like to create these messes. He doesn't like to poke his finger in the team's eye. Remember 2 years ago when he was staying away from off-season workouts? He wouldn't say why.
No.
He didn't even want to take his concerns about a contract public then. So I think the Giants took advantage of his nature, and it's a good nature, but they took advantage of it by getting the deal done and putting him in a spot where his only way out of it was to do something he's not wired to do.
Yeah, okay, I can buy that. I think you're right by that, too. They use that against him, certainly. It's not in Odell Beckham Jr.'s nature to be that kind of guy, certainly. I'm just trying to say, I think if he was totally, I hate this move, I don't want to be in Cleveland, I think he had it in him to be an Antonio Brown-like character and maybe draw that line in the sand. But I think he saw enough positives in this one to go, okay, yeah, whatever. This might not be the number one destination, but I also like the things that are going on in Cleveland. And I'm going to accept that and try to go and further my Hall of Fame career potential there with Baker Mayfield and company.
I think that helped. But the last thing I think Odell Beckham Jr. was going to do in that spot, when he's already being dumped by his initial team and there's this lingering perception that he's a diva and he's a problem and he's this and he's that, you turn around and prove it all by saying, sorry, I'm going to play the Antonio Brown no to Buffalo card and say no to Cleveland. I'm not going to report, or I'm not going to. And that what could he have done? And that gets back to the Steelers trade. What could Antonio Brown have done? You trade the guy, you trade the guy. He either shows up or he doesn't. And if he doesn't, time to pay back a lot of money and consider yourself retired from the National Football League. All right, maybe Kirk Cousins should retire from doing pregame speeches. He's done it in high-profile spots with the Vikings. It hasn't worked. He did it for Michigan State on Friday night, and come Saturday,
always
it didn't
goes back
work.
to Kirk Cousins for you. Always. Goes
I didn't
back
make
to
the
him.
outline today. I didn't make the outline. I'm just reading what's on the page.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.